Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain and welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about honesty, and mostly because honesty is what good relationships tend to be built upon. But there's an extra couple of elements to this that I kind of want to go into because because honesty tends to be an either you're completely honest or you're a liar. In a lot of people's minds, it does kind of cause some conflicts as you're moving forward with relationships. Now, I've touched on some of these things in the past, like I've mentioned being honest as a good thing before, and lying through omission and stuff like that being just as bad as telling an outright colossal porker. But with honesty, there's a grey area that we actually need to sit in for this to work with relationships, especially romantic ones. And so, what do we want from honesty in a relationship? Well, we want to know what our partner wants from us, we want them to know what we want from them. We want to know what's going on. We don't want to be hiding things like who we're seeing, where we're going, what we're doing. We want to be able to keep tabs on each other as much as we want to be able to kind of work around one another. We want to make sure that we're getting accurate information from them so that you actually know the person, not the kind of just the things that they want you to learn about, or the spin on things that they want you to learn about, so that you just kind of become aware of this fake person that they've put in front of you. And lots of people go, oh well, you need to lie a little bit, and you need to dress yourself up a little bit and put a spin on it to begin with, right? That's part of the whole dating thing. And it's like, no, it's not. Because what you do with dating and meeting people and stuff like that early on is you don't lie. You don't put a spin on who you are and what you are. What you do is you try and magnify those parts of you. You try and emphasize those parts of you that are good, that you think are desirable, and you just accept the bad. Yeah. So in this example, for the beginning of a relationship, the thing that you want to do is you want to kind of move into the interaction with the idea of, right, okay, well, I'm funny, I can tell me some jokes, I'm confident, I'm smart. Yeah. Those are the three things that I want to kind of emphasize. Those are the things that I want to show off a little bit. But then the stuff that I want to just accept is, I don't know, I look like the back of a bus. I'm I don't know, whatever other weaknesses that you've got, guys. You have an odd nervous tick, and you can't resist dancing to the sound of any beat. That could be, whatever. I mean, I think I've just described someone who's not just like unattractive, but also just psychologically unwell. But at the same time, you just accept those things and you roll with it with the strengths. You use those to counteract it, and so you're not lying to people. There's just a level of escalation in regards to acknowledging the balance between those two parts as you get to know someone organically. But in regards to the honesty side of things, we want to tackle that person, the real person. If you're interested in someone, you want to get to know them, because then you will either become more interested in them or you'll realize that maybe you were wrong. And that's the important thing, right? It's the getting to know people. Yeah. And so when it comes to moving forward with honesty, though, this is where we start touching in on the intimacy stuff that we talked about the other week, where you have to acknowledge that the intimacy is the long-term thing. It's not the passionate kind of connection. It's not the two people coming together and kind of melding. It's the acknowledgement of two people being comfortable and working in concert, and acknowledging the fact that they are two people, or more potentially, working in concert towards a goal, towards an ideal, towards a thing. And as a result, with that kind of in mind, acknowledging that you're two different people also you have to acknowledge that you've got two different lives, that you've got two different ways of thinking, that you've got two different sets of things that you want to do and people that you want to interact with and stuff like that. And so then moving from that idea on towards like the happy, generally honest kind of environment, there still have to be things that are for you and things that are for them. Yeah? So for instance, there are things that you might not want to share with people. Yeah? Not necessarily because you're embarrassed about it or whatever else, but because you're not allowed to say. Maybe it's actually someone else's thing that you are aware of, that you've been told, but then you're not supposed to be telling, passing that piece of information on. You've got messages that you don't want to be handed around to people because they're sensitive, between you and an old friend, you and an ex, you and whatever. Yeah, things that you don't necessarily want brought up again because they're painful experiences, negative experiences that you might tell someone in confidence because they might be involved or it might involve them in some way, but that maybe it's not something that you generally want to remember. Yeah. Now, I would argue that potentially some of those things with your partner, they're the person that you're going to want to discuss these things with because they're going to be your main emotional support and stuff. But depending on the situation, that might not be the case. For that specific thing, they may be so removed from it that they aren't your primary emotional support or your primary point of contact around that issue. And as a result, if you don't want to let that person know about those things, then it's something that needs to be brought up. It's something that they need to be aware of in regards to, I don't want to talk to you about this because because reason. Yeah. And sometimes that's really hard for people to take because it seems like there might be an issue with trust, or there might be an issue with other things. And so give a little bit more rationale if you're having this conversation. Yeah, I don't want to bring this up with you and discuss this with you because it was very painful for me and I'm just really happy at the moment with you. And I don't want to bring it up because it will literally just put me into a bad place. Yeah? Stuff like that. But the one thing the stands out, where I've talked about this stuff in brief before, is that with being honest, as much as you can have your separate lives and your own secrets, your own things in your own heads, from your own interactions, your own pasts, your own hopes, dreams, fetishes, whatever, as much as that's very much the case, there still needs to be communication. There doesn't need to be communication on the thing that you want to keep to yourself, but there needs to be communication. Yeah? And this is where you branch out a little bit more into the rest of the goings on in a relationship around intimacy. Yeah? You've got the people who are going to be honest and straightforward, but they're still going to keep themselves to themselves where they need to. Yeah? So for instance, you're going to have me say to Hannah, for instance, that I've been told something by a friend and I'm not supposed to be handing that information on, in which case something's happened. I don't want to talk about it. I can't really talk about it, but thanks for being here. Yeah? And then that is fine. She might want to know, she might have all of these things in her head, piqued her interest and all the rest of it, she might feel nosy, but for the most part, she's got to accept that. And if she doesn't accept that, if she goes against what I'm saying, decides to try and pry into things instead of just supporting me, then that's where I have an issue. Yeah? And thankfully that doesn't tend to happen at all with my relationship, but there's the example there. The thing that shouldn't happen though is that there should just be either a straight lie, which is obviously dishonest and obviously something that's wrong, or an omission, because omission of the truth, admission of actuality, is tantamount to lying. Because it is holding back information from someone. It is telling them, it is allowing them an untruth to be part of their reality where especially if they're someone that you trust, and that they trust you, then you need to ensure that they know these things, that they know the truth of the matter. Yeah. So if you're going out with someone that you know they don't like going out for a drink, someone's going to be at a party, blah blah blah, whatever. All these kind of small petty things that usually cause this stuff to start and then spiral. You know, don't just be honest. Yes, that person is going to be there. Don't hide the fact. Don't say you're doing something else or going somewhere else with different people or whatever else. Actually admit to it, but also then you've given them a reason to trust you. Yeah? And then it's up to you to live up to the trust that they've given you. If you're being honest, if you're telling the truth, even if you're like not wanting to talk about stuff, if you're then saying that you don't want to talk about stuff, giving some reasons why, yeah, so that it's not just, oh, I don't trust you with this. It's this is the reason why I don't want to touch this subject with you now or potentially ever. You know, it allows that person to still accept this. It allows them to accept that fact. It allows them to work with the things that you're telling them instead of just floundering and going, they don't trust me, they don't love me, why should I trust them? What's the problem? Where are we breaking down? You know, and then those doubts cause instabilities and they cause more lies and more omissions and more problems. And so that's what we want to avoid, right? And so, you know, my inkling on this, and especially from the stuff that I've seen between previous relationships of mine, as well as the relationships of friends and clients that I've discussed these things with, it would be honest and be straightforward, yeah. But don't be afraid to keep things to yourself, because you are you, and if they love you, if they care about you, then they will accept that there are some things that you just have to keep to yourself, and they will know that they can do the same, right? Because that also is a kind of trust. You can trust someone not to cross a line that you draw in the sand. Yeah, and that's just as important as spilling your guts and knowing that that person will accept and acknowledge what you're saying. Yeah, and then on the side of things where you've got a lot of people that worry about cheating, you've got a lot of people that are worried about things that happen on social media. I mean, one of the things that I did with Hannah quite early on, especially considering that a lot of the people at the time that I was talking to were just work people going, can we swap a shift here and do this there? For the most part, I just went, here are the names of the people that you can't look at because the stuff that I've talked to about is sensitive or based around coaching or whatever else. So those are the ones that I'm just going to archive for the moment off my Facebook Messenger or whatever. There you go, take a look, read what you like. It's all just people asking me to swap shifts at work or whatever else. Yeah? But I was in a position where I was able to specifically pick out the sensitive information and then just pass it across. Yeah? But a lot of people can't do that because there's much more complexity in their interactions, and there's an awful lot more kind of potential for the whole cheating thing, and that's what makes people more upset and more kind of craving of the truth, craving of the real stuff, of an honest person. And so again, the way to deal with that is to actually be upfront about these things. Just be honest, just be straightforward, because if you're honest and straightforward, then you can't, you know, if the other person cares about you, then they can't come down on you like a ton of bricks, because you've just in that moment given them a reason to trust you. If though you hide it from them or just don't tell them, you know, it's if I just keep it quiet, then you know they won't find out. They will find out. It takes an incredibly good liar with an incredibly high level of awareness and an incredibly active mind to keep lies going to the extent that you would have to keep something like that from someone that you are very, very close to, very, very intimate with, and so on and so forth. And so as a result, you don't have the real capacity. In real world terms, you don't have the capacity to keep those secrets. So don't. Be upfront, be straightforward, yeah? If it is a secret or a thing that you need to legitimately draw a line in the sand on, do so, but do so that they can see it. Yeah? Honesty is very much more about conducting yourself in a visible way, in a transparent way, than it is about telling someone every little secret that you have. Yeah, or or allowing someone else to keep track on you 100% of the time. Yeah, be upfront, be visible, be transparent in the way that you deal with people, and you will be trusted. You'll be your limits will be respected, and even if people are curious, they will not dive in too far without you then either having the ability to come down on them like a ton of bricks, or really inquiring as to why they've done this. Yeah, it allows you that high ground to then pass kind of not necessarily judgment, but pass a kind of long-standing issue with across numerous people in regards to kind of levels of privacy and things like that. You allow that to pass that straight on to that person that's disregarded your limitations, your boundaries, and go, what's your take on this? How are you going to deal with this? How am I supposed to trust you when you've gone and done this? Yeah? Because again, I see so many people discussing these things, wanting complete transparency, 100% honesty in all things. Yeah? And yet that doesn't work, because that's trying to get two people who are distinct entities to crush together far, far, far too close. Yeah? Because if you know every single thing about your partner, if you know every single thing that goes through their head, all the things that they have done, all of the things that they hope to do, the way that they work, how much they earn, who they interact with, who they like, who they don't like, if you know absolutely everything, down to the very last detail, then you're not with someone anymore. You're not going through the adventure that is a relationship where you get to discover and learn and experience as you go. You are in an incredibly boring, stagnant, empty space where you have taken that person and crushed them into yourself until they're not there anymore. They're just furniture. They're just what happens to be part of you now. And as a result, there is no variety, there's no direction, there's no continued emotional investment, and there's definitely no immersion, because everything's become pedestrian. So honesty needs to be there, but it needs to be transparency and openness. It doesn't need to be 100% of the information 100% of the time. But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think. Are you in a relationship where the 100% transparency thing has completely worked and it was amazing and it has continued to be a wild adventure of one sort or another, even though you've managed that level of transparency and trust? Are you with me thinking that for the most part that grey area is where we need to be, between 100% transparency 100% of the time and people actually telling lies, omitting information, and being untrustworthy? That space in the middle is where we need to be. Because also think about it, there are nice things that come from surprises. Yeah, surprise parties, surprise presents, surprise holidays, all of those kind of things are all great experiences. They're all new adventures. They're all new fun things to do with your partner. And so, if you had 100% transparency, 100% honesty, 100% of the time, those things just couldn't happen. You wouldn't be able to keep a thing from your partner for those fun things, yeah, for those nice surprises. And so, that's where the grey area has its positive ends, but also you've got the more kind of middle neutral parts and the negative ends where it's like, yeah, you might have to draw a boundary. That means that you've got to respect it. You have to hold yourself back. You have to be trustworthy to be trusted, and you have to trust to be trustworthy. You've got that melting pot, and this is why it's confusing, because you've got a lot of things moving in a lot of different directions, and this is why I wanted to address it. But I want to hear what you guys think. Please let me know about your relationships and the things that you've done, and how you've interacted with kind of being honest, or people who haven't been honest. Please let me know down in the comments. And otherwise, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you found this at all interesting, then please drop us a like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care.